Skycam, and the disturbing news that more than 20 people have been injured. We don't know how many have gone to hospitals. We don't know how they were injured. We don't know if they were injured in an attempt to get away from all the chaos, or if this gunman was responsible, but I'm hearing them again. Let's listen.
Let's go to east side of this building.
That's Ralph Rayburn speaking from the chopper. It's the WSVN feed that we'd like to listen to. The truth is, we're relying on the reporting of those on scene, and the latest we have is that 20 people are injured, and now WSVN is saying that police are asking students and teachers inside to stay barricaded in, at least for now. These are, again, you can see some people are making their way out of that school, but the authorities are telling them, if you're inside, stay inside. We're also getting word that the police have gone into some areas, canvassed to make sure that everyone in those areas is safe, and that, as you can see, the police there are facilitating the exit of some of these students. The question at this hour is, 8 minutes past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, is where is this gunman? Back to WSVN 7 in South Florida.
Parents who are going through the worst possible thing that a parent who sends their child off to school every morning thinks that they're gonna have to deal with. But we came from me.
What's happening is we keep losing this feed. We're going to ask them to switch from their chopper cam to their off-air signal, because we can only get one thing out of there at a time. Lots of questions about exactly where they are in this investigation. What we can tell you officially is that the Broward Sheriff's Office tells us this is an active shooter investigation. They're still telling students who are inside the school to remain there and stay barricaded. And as you can see from these live pictures, the Broward SWAT team, the Broward Sheriff's Office, the Coral Springs Police, and other nearby agencies acting in coordination with them are all on scene at this school, which has been locked down. There has been no change in that status, though they're beginning to evacuate some of the students. In the very early going, some pictures from earlier that I want to show you, as they were just setting up triage stations outside this school, Stoneman Douglas High School, and treating some students there on the ground before presumably taking some to hospitals. A lot of students were in this area as well, and they took them to nearby areas to safety. Students who had not been injured were not complaining of any pains. And all of the fire and rescue vehicles around the school, along with Broward SWAT and the Broward Sheriff's Office vehicles, all converging on this school at the same time. A lot of students were certainly evacuated in the early going, but the school still has lots of kids inside, even as we speak. Again, these pictures from just a short time ago, and the Broward Sheriff's Office still with an active shooter situation. Our understanding of this is that it began sometime around 2:20, 2:30 this afternoon. We don't know exactly what the call was when it came in, but we can tell you that agencies were arriving on scene in just a matter of minutes. The choppers were up above as well, and you could see the chaos down on the ground in the early going. Some live pictures now. This is the divided roadway out in front of the school, and you can see that the authorities have blocked off most of this area. A lot of the students who were at this triage a short time ago have all been cleared out. A number of ambulances have gone to nearby hospitals, and this is that broad expanse of school. You can see all of the faculty vehicles and the rest still in the parking lot, and not a lot of activity around the school itself, just the police, the SWAT teams, and all the rest as they work to secure this area. Trace Gallagher is getting new details in for us, and he's with us. Trace?
Yeah, Shep, we're kind of listening to scanner traffic here, and of course that's not gospel and it's not confirmed, but it gives us a better idea of what police are thinking as they kind of approach this scene. You can see right there that Stoneman Douglas High School, 3,200 students in all. It's 3 stories high, and some of the scanner traffic is indicating that there's a possibility that police are concerned that there might be a shooter up on the 3rd floor, which is, if you watch the police activity, it gives you an idea of the way they're proceeding, the way they are proceeding by trying trying to get some of the kids off the first 2 floors, as many as possible, out of there. In the earlier minutes that we watched this, you could see kind of the perimeter being set up, and the police were kind of against going up to the building and inside the building. And now in the past 10 minutes, you have seen a total shift and change where police are surrounding buildings, going inside buildings, or at the very least getting next to entryways in buildings. And Shep, we have covered so many of these over the years. You know how the process goes. The idea is they're telling the kids that are on certain floors to remain barricaded inside, to remain holed up where they are, because at least for the time being, they're safe. And then the idea is they have to go from classroom to classroom and floor to floor to clear the different areas. At this time, you normally get some response and some traffic of kids talking on cell phones to their parents. We've had very little of that, which is an indication that maybe there's some still lockdown in place on certain floors. We are getting, you see right there that some of the kids are being taken out of a lot of areas, and the hands up is a very common policy, meaning that that's the way they check these kids out. The hands are up. All the backpacks will be dropped at a certain point and picked up later, because every single one of those backpacks has to go through. There was traffic earlier that a possible suspect may have gotten out with some other students who were actually taken out this way. That has, again, not been confirmed, but it kind of gives you an idea of what police are going through. A lot of this has become standard operating procedure, taking the kids to a certain area, drop the backpacks, check the backpacks, get the kids to a safe area, and then go back in the school and go room to room to room and check it out. And right now, we're talking about scanner traffic focusing at this point on the 3rd floor of this high school. Shep.
Trace, Ralph Rayburn in the chopper. Let's listen. We're now told that Rick Scott, the governor of Florida, has spoken with the locals and that he's involved. WSVN is reporting that the suspect is wearing a maroon shirt with black pants and seen in the area of the west side of the building. Broward Sheriff's Office is now reporting that this is still an active shooter situation, and WSVN is covering it live. Let's listen.
In our live coverage, but that's the official word as of right now from the district.
And kind of recapping some of the information that we got early on as this active shooting situation started to unfold. The first calls came in around 2:30 this afternoon of this active shooting there on campus. It started out with 5 victims injured, 1 transported. That number just went up a few moments ago to more than 20 victims that have been injured. One person we heard early on had a gunshot wound to the leg. That person was transported to a nearby hospital. We saw a young student, a female, getting loaded into the back of an ambulance. She was on her way to the hospital, presumably. So again, a large triage situation going on right here. Heard a few moments ago that more of those victims may be on their way out of this building, that 3-story building right there on the campus of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, in the next few moments. So we'll be watching for that as well.
Brandon Byer, we apologize again, had to interrupt you for a moment there, but let's get back to you and give us a sense of what you are seeing in your spot right now.
Their reporter on scene. Let's listen.
We can actually see the school now from where we are. I apologize for being a little bit turned around. I'm not sure exactly which side of the school I'm on, but it's I'm now understanding that they've extended their perimeter. There's a Walmart nearby, and they've extended their perimeter to include that Walmart. So we're talking to students.
So the perimeter is extending. And for those of you watching us on Fox News Channel, our Fox television stations across the nation are about to join our live coverage. And good afternoon from Fox News in New York. I'm Shepard Smith. You're looking live in South Florida. This is in Broward County, north of Miami. The town is Coral Springs. The area is Parkland. And this is a school where an active shooter situation is underway. The Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland in Broward County, Florida. The latest word you can see here, students are being taken out of the school. Their hands are in the air in an attempt to show we haven't done anything. The evacuation is ongoing. But we're led to believe by authorities that there is a gunman somewhere on scene. So far, we're told as many as 20 people have been injured. We have reason to believe some of them are students. This all began with the first call about 2:30 Eastern time, so about 46 minutes ago. The school is still locked down. The perimeter has been extended outside of this school. Authorities are walking the kids out, and our local station, WSVN 7 in South Florida, is covering it live. Craig Stevens on the desk, a reporter on scene. Let's listen.
I'm going to try to talk with the man on the student on the Channel 7, and one of the things speaking about what occurred. some of these students on stand clear too, taking up the chalk. Were you inside the school? What? Yeah.
We apologize for the connection. We've just gotten new word from the Broward County Sheriff's Office. 20 to 50 people have been injured. We don't know how many of those have been shot or if they might have been injured in some other way in a rush to escape or in ways that the authorities have not yet explained to us. So the latest from the Broward County Sheriff's Office in South Florida is 20 to 50 people injured. Again, our local station, 7 News, Fox for South Florida, is covering it live. Let's listen.
It was a normal fire drill like that. Normally we need one every month, and we were just assuming it's that one. But then a second drill went off in my class, and we just all assumed that it was a normal drill. But as we were walking out, we started hearing like pop shots, and no one seemed to be worried at like people thought that it was just another like intense drill. They told us about a drill before where they were going to be shooting blanks. So we heard the shots like, hey, it's just that drill. But then, it's not. How did you get out of the school safely? We took the back route across Westlake, single file line through the woods, and about it. Everyone's here. Each school is like sector zone. We're all assigned to like a certain zone, so we all walk off to. Are you high school students? Yeah, so high school students. And usually in the zone, you go there and line up, but then we got pushed Westlake, and we kept going past Westlake, so we knew something was wrong by then.
And what are they telling students now? Because it seems like a little chaotic at this point, which is understandable considering circumstances. But what are school administrators telling you guys?
They're not telling us much. They're not telling us that they don't really know for sure, but some administrators don't know at all, the ones I've asked. And they're just trying to get focused on getting every student out as fast as quickly.
You spoke with your parents? They know you're okay?
Yeah, my parents are already here. They rushed over here. Even my coaches from like Cardinal Gibbons, like hospitals all in Fort Lauderdale, were texting me, asking because they already knew right away. And yeah, that's how we got. I'm glad you're safe. Okay.
And Brandon, stand by for me one moment as we continue to watch these live pictures from 7 Skyforce, and we have seen these large groupings of students come out of that building right there on the campus of Marjorie Stoneman. We saw one group running out, a couple of others walking out with their hands up as police, a number of departments try to clear those students one by one and clear this scene. But Coral Springs police tweeting out a few moments ago for people who are inside the building following this situation, they want people, faculty and staff and students to remain in place until police can clear the building. Well, we're getting another tweet just a few moments ago here into the Newsplex, and this is from apparently a student inside the building. That student saying, quote, "The school is not totally evacuated. I'm locked in my classroom, and I heard shouting right outside a few minutes ago." So that just gives you an idea, that dialogue right there, that tweet, that this is still a very active and fluid situation unfolding right now on this high school campus.
And I think that's to Ralph's point earlier, and this is why law enforcement, they do this grid search, room by room, space by space. And as they're able to secure parts of the campus, this happens. They let people leave, and then there are parts of the campus that are still not secure from their point of view, and that is why there is the requirement that faculty, staff, students remain on lockdown. I think we have Vanessa Medina. She's there, and we actually have her on camera now to add a little more. Vanessa, remind us again just how far you are or how close you are to the school campus at this point.
I'm about less than a half a mile from the actual school, but let me just show you how much police presence is here. If we can go back here, Scott, I'm showing them how much police presence. We've got Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs, Broward Sheriff's deputies in the corner over there. We've got parents. You can see parents arriving here trying to figure out exactly where their child is. But deputies and police officers have been arriving. We just saw the command post, the SWAT team command post, just drive through here and set up a spot closer to the school. So we are on exactly Coral Ridge Drive here, and Holmberg is the cross street. But you can see just how many SWAT team deputies and how many police officers are out here. This is a Walmart here, so they had to make sure that this scene here, this area here at this Walmart was clear, so they sent officers in there just to make sure that this was a safe area. But we've got deputies all down this road that have come in to
As the reporter speaks on scene, we've just gotten an urgent dispatch from the Parkland, Florida Police Department. Parkland is the town in the Coral Springs area. The county is Broward, and this is the alert. The sheriff from Broward County says this school's shooter is still at large. This is still an active shooter situation. Whether he is on campus or whether he is left with some students, as was earlier reported but not confirmed by Fox News, is not yet known. This is local coverage from Channel 7 News, WSVN in South Florida, the news station, the Fox station. Let's listen.
Parents are not hearing from their child. Can we ask you a quick question? We're with Channel 7. Did you hear anything?
No, my friends did.
What are your friends telling you?
They said they heard a shot. One of my friends said that a girl from his class was shot.
And where were you when this all happened?
In my classroom. I was really nearby the exit.
And you're hearing this happened in the freshman building is what we're hearing?
Yeah.
And what are your friends saying? Are they still inside of the school?
No, all my friends were able to evacuate.
Now, as a parent, this has got to be the most frightening
it's
thing.
Very frightening. I was coming here to pick her up, and I still have my son that is on West Clay,
West Clay.
West Clay Middle School.
Is he still there? They're on lockdown.
Yeah, I tried to call him, and then the teacher got the phone, and then he said that everything's okay, but they're still locked up till they feel that it's safe to go out. So I still have a son over there on the middle school.
As a parent, as a father, it's hit Parkland.
You never think that it's going to happen to you. You know, the things that you see on the movies, and all of a sudden you see on the middle of everything, and then it's very sad. It's very sad because, you still don't know what's going on inside there. And I'm happy because my daughter is here, my son is okay, but I'm very, upset for the parents that still have their kids inside.
Very fluid situation out here. Again, we are hearing from parents who are walking up that their child is still at Westglade and they are on lockdown. You can see some of these undercover officers and deputies still pouring in. Again, as we were driving in, we were on the Sawgrass Expressway and they have it completely blocked off because you can see a clear pathway to the second story of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. So we've got Broward Sheriff's deputies coming from Dania Beach all over Cross County coming out here to this very active scene out here. When we tried to get in another direction, one of the fire rescue told us there that it was just too much of an active scene to let us get any closer to this school. So they have created a perimeter to keep everyone out here safe, and the students that are there, they're trying to contain this situation. But that's the very latest out here. Of course, guys, we'll keep you posted.
And by way of active scene, and this might sort of be obvious, but the AP is quoting the sheriff as saying the high school shooter is still at large. That's what we mean by active scene, that while portions of this campus are secure, and in those cases where it could be safely done, students and others are being allowed to leave, but in others they are not, because they do not at this point in time have the culprit for this in custody. That effort continues.
And it's been a few minutes since we checked in with Ralph. Ralph, we had a brief description of who this active shooter may be.
Ralph is Ralph Rayburn up in the chopper. Let's listen.
Coming in that he was on the second floor. Can you kind of brief us on that? Any new information, on that?
Yes, the most recent thing that I can tell you is that they have identified someone. We're not going to put the person's name out on the air at this time because we want to get it corroborated. But they have identified the person of interest who is a student who was in class today earlier, and they're trying to make contact now. They have his home address, they know where he works, and they're putting together all this information now as they continue to go through classroom after classroom of this three-story standalone building here on the north side of the property at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. We now have our third SWAT vehicle that has arrived out here on the scene. We watched as those interviews were being conducted earlier, and the reporters were reporting there that we saw at least 100 students, some 100 students come out of that building with their arms raised and are now in safe haven off the property. There are school buses that hold on one second. There are school buses that are just off the property. Students are being assigned to certain buses, and everyone is going to be checked before anybody leaves the premises. As far as this investigation goes, to get any more amplifying information as to exactly where this person of interest may be, whether he's still on the property or whether he was able to get outside of the school property before the perimeter was set up here. So again, the school on lockdown, at least 20 people injured. We know that at least one person person was shot. We haven't gotten any other confirmations. Broward County put out a mass casualty incident, a level 3. A level 3 means that there are at least 20 to 22, I believe, people injured. They have notified all the area hospitals all around in this area, and down a little bit down to the south, and actually up into West Palm, finding out who has beds available and who can take patients and treat patients, so that it's done very quickly and efficiently. So that's the latest information we have for you. We're going to go off mic here for a couple of minutes, and then we'll get back with you again.
Ralph Rayburn in the chopper above the scene with new information to all of us that they believe they know who the culprit is. They believe they know who the shooter is. According to Ralph Rayburn, who's I know him well, and he's very well plugged in with local authorities there. He's being told that the authorities know where he lives, that they're searching for him. They don't know if the shooter is still on campus or has left the campus before the perimeter was set up. They've called in authorities from hither and yon and have notified the hospitals to the north and south of them that this is a mass casualty incident. The sheriff's office telling Fox News that 20 to 50 people have been injured. These are live pictures coming to us. Craig Stevens on the anchor desk in South Florida. Let's listen to their local coverage.
You see in school facilities for active shooter situations. So we know that there are protocols in place. We can only hope that they're being implemented effectively today to maximize the safety of everybody inside that complex, those especially who are still on lockdown inside that complex. I think, Matt, you said a little while ago we have a picture from inside the school building. This might have been a student in a classroom this day and age where everybody is outfitted with a smartphone and for no other reason to keep in touch with their mom and dad. This is a chilling scene. It's a shot from the floor of a classroom, from the point of view perhaps of under a desk while this got underway.
And having covered these stories before, you know, we've talked to teachers, faculty, and staff on the flip side of these school shootings, and they go through training. Faculty does, and students do as well, working hand in hand with faculty to learn what to do in the classroom when a situation like this starts to unfold. If the active shooter is not in the classroom, they're taught to barricade that door that leads out into the hallway of schools. So you can only imagine that these students and these teachers are tapping into what they have learned from training that they have gained, throughout these active shootings and those discussions. So Vanessa Medina on the ground. I believe, Vanessa, you're in the Walmart Supercenter parking lot, which is not far away from the high school.
No, we're less than a half a mile from the school. We have Sebastian out here who heard the gunshots. Sebastian, what did you hear?
Just shots. Like all of a sudden we were all in our classrooms just minding our own business, and all of a sudden just 3 shots happened, and then everyone just started freaking out.
And people running
and everyone was just, we all thought it was a fire drill because we had one previously today, and we thought it was that, so no one was that nervous. But then when word started going around that it was shots and not just like something else, then everyone just started running towards the canal.
And you started running with people around you.
Yes.
How scary is what's going on?
I mean, I wasn't scared until now.
This is a fluid situation. There's a lot of hearsay going on. They believe that they know who the shooter is. They're going back and forth again with a lot of hearsay, but we're also hearing, we had one mom run across us and tell us that one teacher protecting the students may have passed. But again, this is a fluid situation. You can see police out here, and they are trying to make sure that the students that are coming out of this school are, of course, safe. We have Coral Springs Police out here, Fort Lauderdale, BSO. We've got so many agencies from Dade and Broward out here. We've seen several SWAT teams go in with full active gear on. Again, students coming out telling us they do know who this student is. Another student just came out, you'll have to excuse me, saying that a teacher possibly could have passed. But again, this is all information that's coming out, and just like anything, it's a fluid situation, and we have not confirmed any of this information. So if you're a parent and you're watching this, and hopefully you can get on the phone with your child and confirm some of this information. But there are students who have come out, and they're okay. say Ralph is above, of course, grabbing all the pictures from above us, but this is out here on Holmberg and Coral Ridge Drive.
We've just gotten word that police have notified all area hospitals all around this school that they should all expect to receive students. We work with a number of stations there. WSVN is further reporting that the police have identified a person of interest who is a student and was said to have been in class earlier today at this very high school. It's the reporting of WSVN, our South Florida station, that student is, quote, on the run. Authorities say that this is an active shooter situation, that they're still searching for the shooter. Ralph Rayburn, who's in the helicopter up above, has reported that police believe they know exactly who this person is and where this person lives. But at this moment, to our knowledge, they have not located this person. It's 32 minutes past 3 o'clock in South Florida, where the chopper is above a school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School in the town of Parkland, near Coral Springs in Broward County, north of Miami, and that's where this school shooting happened. The police tell us 20 to 50 people have been injured in one way or another, and all area hospitals have been notified that they should expect to receive casualties on some level from the school. We've been listening into live local coverage from our station WSVN 7 in South Florida. A student who was there, let's listen.
In hand to deal with this situation, the FBI, from what we're hearing from our producer upstairs, is on scene, just arriving a few moments ago. So they will check in with Coral Springs Police, Fire, BSO, among other agencies that are there on scene. But the FBI just arriving there a few moments ago.
If this rises to a certain level, this will become the FBI become the lead investigation or the lead agency involved in this. But we're not quite at that point yet. We had a young man in front of the camera. Is that a live interview? Do we have that? Is that Vanessa? She had a young man in front of the camera.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Ralph, hang on one sec.
Sure thing.
For people to go ahead and lead up to that.
Tell us, you were telling me, you were talking about, you believe that the alleged shooter, you don't have to say his name, but tell us what you know about him.
He's been a troubled kid, and he'd always had like a certain amount of, issues going on. He shot guns because he felt that it gave him, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? An exhilarating feeling. I don't know.
How did you know about his guns?
He showed me personally through his phone and stuff like that. I stayed clear of him most of the time during my time in an alternate school. I didn't want to be with him at all because I felt as though I didn't want to cause any conflict with him because that's the impression he gave off. You were in alternative school with him? Yes, I actually got kicked out my junior year and then went into an alternative school, OCLC. And that's where I met him again after getting kicked out my junior year, meeting him there. How old is he? He's older than me. He was 19 when I was 17, so he's probably 20 now, 21. So you're hearing this through friends?
Forgive the interruption, but what we don't know, what we don't want to do is misidentify anyone. We're going to go with what we've heard from police. Imagine being at a school, there's been all this chaos, and students say this and students say that, and this student may be 100% exactly right, but he could also be wrong. So we're going to wait for the authorities to tell us exactly who this person is. Here's what they've said so far. They've said so far to the locals that they know who this person is. They have a person of interest. They've said that this person of interest was a student who had earlier in the day been inside that school. They've said that this person of interest is not yet apprehended. They've said that 20 to 50 students or 20 to 50 people have been injured in one way or another. They've told local hospitals, all of them, to expect or to be prepared at least for casualties from this school. And we have 3 local stations with whom we work there. Our local station, CBS 4 for South Florida, is reporting as many as 40 students and a teacher are locked inside a closet inside that high school and that they have made contact. WPLG, which is the ABC station in South Florida, is now reporting on a word from parents. A mother said, "My daughter is locked in the auditorium now. My daughter texted me," and I quote, "Mom, you stay safe, stay away." She said she's scared and she heard the gunshot. She said, "Mom, I don't want to go to school tomorrow." Another mother, "My daughter texted me she's okay. She's still inside her classroom. The teacher locked the door and they're huddled in the back of the classroom. She's terrified, but I'm thankful she's able to text." They're doing exactly what the authorities told them to do. and that is barricade yourselves inside the school. And now students are being brought out by authorities, hands in the air, as has become protocol. WSVN 7 covering this. Ralph Rayburn is in the helicopter. Craig Stevens on the anchor desk. Let's listen.
One of the other buildings, it's on that main building where it's attached to the courtyard area that we were showing you earlier. But you're seeing all of these students here and teachers are being escorted here across the roadway. That road that goes from the top to bottom of your screen there, that is Pine Island right there, where all those police officers are set up and up near the command post. One other piece of information we want to share with you that we were able to develop just a short time ago, along with that evacuation that took place, they did find a teacher. I don't want to put the room number out, but they identified the room number where they believe the shooting started, and a teacher who witnessed it, and that teacher is going to be escorted over to the command post to be debriefed by police officers or the commanding officers on the scene. That's going to happen here in the next couple of minutes.
And Ralph, where are they taking these students and faculty that are being brought out of these buildings? I believe you said earlier possibly buses were being brought up to that scene?
They are, and let me bring the camera way back out here as we watch all those students are now across the roadway there. You see them going right in between a couple of well, what they've done is they've asked them to leave all their book bags here in the middle of the street. I'm sure they're going to be going through those, make sure there's nothing ill going on there. But they're all underneath this line of trees here on the east side of Pine Island right there. That's where they ended up. And then if we bring the camera back out here to the intersection, you can see the mass of humanity and fire rescue personnel along with the police officers. And I would say now that this school here, this Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School, which is this school right here in the center of the screen, you see the Sawgrass Expressway in the background, slowdown of traffic there, people up on the highway there looking over. We saw a couple people with binoculars that were looking from up there. There's also some police officers up there just keeping an eye on that southern perimeter of this school here. But again, that shooting taking place, a mass casualty incident where over 20 people were injured. We counted 1 at first, and then we saw 7 more, and we've seen several others, and we're getting indications that there may still be a few people that are injured that are being treated inside the building. We're trying to get more information there. You can see right now we've got personnel coming out of that, and they're loading up on the back of this pickup truck here. But let's see who we've got there. Yeah, those are some SWAT members and some other folks right there. So as we overuse that expression, that very active scene here, we're going to go off mic again and try to get you guys a little bit more information. We'll be back shortly.
Actually, Ralph, before you go, can I ask you a real quick question? I just want to clarify something, and you may have amplified this point earlier, but you mentioned that the authorities think they've identified the room where this started. That's to suggest that this event continued outside of that classroom.
I can't infer anything by it. I just kind of, I'm doing the echo here, where if I hear something and I hear it again, can corroborate it a little bit or see some visual evidence of it, then we go ahead and that's how we do the reporting. I can't take any more out of it than they believe that they have identified a person of interest, and they know that person's name, they know the person's residence, they know where the person works, and they're working now to establish exactly his whereabouts at this hour.
All right, Ralph, we'll let you get back to what you need to do, and we'll check back in as you provide these live pictures of a number of young people, students who have been allowed to leave that facility, again, where they had been in the building 800, I guess it is, Ralph mentioned. They've secured that section of it, so as they do that, they allow...
Forgive the interruption, Craig Stevens and the team in South Florida. We've just gotten word from the police chief, the fire chief, I should say, there locally. The fire chief has told the Miami Herald newspaper that at least 1 person has been killed. We know that at least more than 20 and less than 50 have been injured. That's as specific as they have been. And the gunman, at last report from police and authorities, is still missing. Craig Stevens continues.
For some of these law enforcement officers, we are Coral Ridge Drive and Holmberg Road. So one of the main entrances into this high school, into the multiple schools that are located here in Parkland. And Brad, let's pop off the tripod. We can just show them exactly what we're seeing. You're here checking on a student, I can imagine.
My daughter.
You're checking on your daughter. Were you able to make contact with? Is she a high school student, a middle schooler?
She's a sophomore at Douglas.
And when did did she reach out to you that there was?
She texted me and told me there's an active shooter. Please call 911.
And you obviously did that and then raced to the school.
And 911 has heard already. And they gave me instructions what to tell her as far as keep the phone off, on vibrator, stay low, make sure the door's locked.
Is she out of the school? Have you been able?
She just walked out. She texted me after about a 25-minute sort of gap of silence.
And then now our own crews have just spoken with this student. Let's listen.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
All right, and what's your name? Spell your first and last name for me.
Megan Hill, Meghan, Hill, Hill.
And how old are you?
I'm 17.
And our producer speaking to a student there. Let's listen.
Very much.
You're welcome.
Your dad?
I'm her dad, yeah.
What'd you think when you got the call or when you heard the news?
I got a text message and thought it was a joke. You know, the kids can play jokes sometimes, and then I can tell right away that it turned serious. And she sent me videos of her crying on the floor, and I saw pictures. They sent me of the people that were shot in the hallway and dead. And it just felt helpless. Nothing I could do. I tried to get her as quick.
Again, we do not have confirmed reports of multiple people dead. The sheriff's office, I should say the fire department, has told the Miami Herald that there is at least one fatality. Beyond that, we have nothing except 20 to 50 people injured. Local coverage on the ground near the school. Let's listen.
Close to the public. You can see across the street. That's going to be to the west. A large gathering of students that have already cleared, family members, heavy law enforcement presence as well. And as we hear from Ralph, kind of where I'm getting a lot of my details, besides what we're learning here on the ground and from Craig in the studio, talking about a situation where the possibility this is a shooter's not yet been found. And I think that lends to the what we're seeing here as far as the police cars continuing to be so mobile. They will pick up and move in a group of 6 or 8 and just as fast as they can move out, either a northbound or a southbound direction. And obviously we're speculating at this point, but probably checking out these various locations of where this suspect may be, Craig.
All right, Brandon Byer, thanks so much for that. We're going to get back with you as you are able to cull more from folks as they leave that building. We'll check back with you in a few minutes.
We just saw, Craig, a few moments ago, I picked up on 7 Skyforce as these students were being brought out of the buildings, and this is still happening. We just saw a few moments ago a large stream of students coming out with their hands up. Again, police trying to clear this campus as quickly and efficiently as they can. Saw a stack of backpacks that were starting to line up on the road right there just off campus. So you can imagine that law enforcement from the various departments that are there on scene will be checking through all those backpacks as they try to clear everything, the students and their belongings here today at Marjorie Stoneman. I believe Vanessa is on the ground. Vanessa, what do you have for us?
Just tell me what's your name?
I don't want to say.
It's okay. So tell me, where were you? What did you hear?
We were in front of the tennis courts, and we heard the fire alarm, and it was supposed to be just a fire drill. We thought it was just another fire drill because we had another one earlier. But as soon as the fire drill got pulled, the fire alarm got pulled, and kids were evacuating, I heard 5 pops. And I was like, that's not a drill. I was like, and we never did a drill like that. And when we started evacuating towards the back of Westglades, towards the middle school, I knew that it was more than a drill because we've never done that. I graduated. I came back to visit one of my teachers.
So you were just in the worst possible place at the worst possible time
Basically.
And so you knew this was not a drill, and what happened around you? Describe to me the students.
Kids were freaking out. Some kids froze. Some kids were on their phones. A lot of were on their phones just trying to Snapchat everything because they thought it was a joke and it wasn't. There's kids freaking out, students freaking out, teachers.
On that, the police tell us that there's somewhere between 20 and 50 victims. They told all hospitals in the area to prepare for victims. And now the Florida Senator Bill Nelson has just told our Capitol Hill correspondent Peter Ducey that, in his words, many people have been killed. Nothing from authorities on that matter, but from the senator, we did want to pass that along. WSVN with their fine coverage from their studios in Southwest Florida, in South Florida and across the region. Let's listen.
Clock hour, the headline is that a person of interest is in custody, apprehended, not on the school campus, but a little ways away from there. And one of the reasons why, as we talk about the school, they do this room by room search as they secure the facility, they allow people to evacuate. That's how, one of the ways they're able to confirm whether the person they're looking for
who this person was. I'm still going to hold off on the name until we get a confirmation, but we do have the name of the person, his age and all that information. They had a description of what he was wearing. They checked surveillance cameras in the buildings and around the area. They were able to determine exactly where he worked and his scheduling. He was in school today, identified by a teacher at the scene of the initial shooting, and with that information, developing that information, they put a dragnet out all over this area. I'd estimate that it's probably about a 4 or 5 square mile area, and you're watching them right now process this person, the guy in the burgundy shirt that we mentioned, and black pants. He was wearing a black hat at the time that the shootings took place, and he is in police custody right now.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, Ralph Rayburn, thanks for that, those live pictures, that update of this man as he's being taken into custody. And as Ralph wove that story, you can get a sense of how authorities feel as though they have the person they've been looking for a variety of reasons, a variety of ways.
It's 4 o'clock in South Florida. I'm Shepard Smith in New York on Fox News Channel and Fox television stations across the nation, where for the last hour and a half we've been monitoring developments at a high school in Broward County, Florida, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where just about 2:30 Eastern Time this afternoon, authorities began to get reports of a shooting inside that school. Multiple shots, one after another. Then there were reports of 5 people injured. Broward Sheriff's Department converged on the scene, as did the Coral Springs Police Department and the Parkland Police Department. Hospitals around and throughout the area were notified to be ready for multiple casualties being brought in. Eventually, we learned that 20 to 50 people had been injured, and that a lone gunman had been responsible for all of this. We got word from Ralph Rayburn, a reporter for our local station WSVN7 in South Florida, working the chopper today for them. Word from him that they believed all of this began in one classroom with one student, and they identified that student at the time. The authorities locked down the school, told the students to lock down in place, began searching the area, put up a perimeter around, and then made their way to a nearby neighborhood less than a mile away, where they found the young man in the maroon shirt and the black pants whom you just saw, and he is their person of interest. Our understanding is that they brought witnesses from all of this to look at this man and personally identify him, and then the Broward Sheriff's Office took him into custody. What we've just been told by the Florida Senator Bill Nelson to our own Peter Doocy is that there are, and I quote, many fatalities on scene. We now know that the senator told Peter that after receiving word from the school system. Now we're waiting for authorities to tell us that the lockdown is over. We know that the students have been dismissed from the school, that they've been taken to nearby buses. We know that the authorities are still investigating. We know the streets around are closed and that hospitals are still waiting and ready to take in more casualties if necessary. This is the scene from earlier, just about 3 o'clock this afternoon, as there was barely controlled chaos around the school. You can see that the fire department